My name's Noval Smith. I'm from Birmingham, England, and music's always been a part of my life. I come from a church environment, so it's pretty hands-on. You are immediately having to play. You're surrounded by music, and you're kind of thrusted into the deep end in terms of play that chord on the piano or that note on the bass guitar, or So I've dabbled with several instruments, but piano's the one which I've always stuck to. That's been where I've found, I suppose, I am at my most creative behind the piano, and so I have constantly been brought up in music, and gospel covers all genres of music as well. So you have gospel pop, gospel R&B, gospel jazz, gospel blues. Basically, you could think of any emotion possible, and you're finding that right through the church, as what you see now with a lot of established artists. They do have that church background.
My name's Mark Love. I'm also from Birmingham. Well, I've always loved music. If you speak to my mum, she'll tell you that when I was a little boy, a toddler, she'd sit me in the pushchair while she was cleaning the house, and the radio would be on, and I'd be going bonkers to whatever was on the radio. Just always loved. I had a connection to music. My grandfather was a quite well-known classical music pianist. Appeared on the radio and all that kind of stuff. That was his full-time profession. But actually getting into music was first as a record collector, and then latterly as a DJ and promoter. I've always been drawn, even as a child, to soul music, black music. So I had an opportunity to introduce people to the music I loved. Predominantly back then, it was American imported jazz, funk, disco, soul, R&B music. So it's always been that for me. Although I do appreciate other genres of music, but that's the genre that hits me. What spoke to me about the music, I couldn't really put my finger on it, apart from it just feels I've got a very natural connection to it. I seem to feel it. I think that I understand it. Not only as a DJ, playing it to people, creating nights, and then now that we're creating music, it's just something that feels very natural to me. I do have a strong faith. I don't follow any particular religion. I was brought up as a Roman Catholic, but I don't follow that religion. My faith is just in God, and I believe that music is a gift from God. You've either got it or you haven't. Somebody once said to me, a friend of mine we were talking about things, and she's a very old West Indian lady, and she said, I believe that before God sends people down here, he blesses them with certain things. He puts his hand on their head, and dependent on how long he holds that hand on your head is how blessed you are. And that always kind of stuck with me. I thought, oh, that's really quite interesting. And maybe that's what's happened, because these songs just come. I don't know where they come from. When people say, where'd you get these songs from? Normally for me, I'm washing up, or I'm in the shower, and the ideas come. So they come from somewhere.
I recall meeting Mark for the first time through I guess you could call it a mutual acquaintance. It's a guy by the name of Paul Snook. He's an American bass player, phenomenal, and has such a huge history. He's rubbed shoulders with the likes of Shaka Khan and so on. And basically, he called me one day and he said, listen, I've got an artist who's looking for someone to create music for his songs. He's a great guy to work with. His name's Mark. And I'd love you to come down, meet him, have a chat. Now, I trust Paul so much in terms of anyone who refers to me. I'm like, yep, I'm on it. I'm going to see. So I came down and then was introduced to Mark. And then he played me an amazing song. And I was like, wow. I mean, the song, I think the name of it was True Love at the time. And I was like, okay, this is fabulous. What do you want me to do with it? And Mark was like, well, I like it, but I want to take it up a step. I want to take it in a new direction. And let's go through some ideas. So we got together. I got on the keyboard, started jamming through some ideas, and it just seemed to click. We just seemed to get on so well. It was almost as if I was getting into his mind and pulling out the ideas that he wanted to do, but he would come with his written lyrics. And then the great thing about it is we have such a similar genre ideas in terms of the people we listen to. So I would get on the piano, and then I would start to go through some ideas, some melodic ideas, like da 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 da. Like, no, maybe switch that down a little bit, da da da. Is this guy for a guy? Is it for a girl? Let's get in terms of the pitching of the song and the sort of speed. Do we want it as an up tempo, or no? This feels like a ballad track. So, and what we would do is draw on experience of those artists that we remember from those genres to say, okay, right, if you're going to pitch it that way, let's work on this melody, work on the chords, and we literally would. By the end of that day, we would hash out the framework to what would be a great song.
I remember sitting in my girlfriend's house in Birmingham, perched on the sofa with Noval's mini keyboard. This was actually for I'm in Love, and I had a rough lyrical idea. I wanted to create this summery, up-tempo, happy expression of love, you know, this real kind of never too much Luther Vandross vibe. And so I had the lyrical idea and a rough idea in my head of what we wanted. And Noval and I sat on the sofa, and Noval was playing some keys, and I was going, oh, I'm not sure about that. And we moved this, and we moved the tempo, and within not very long at all, we had a chorus. And we were like, we kind of had one of those moments where we looked at each other and thought, okay, because we work very, very quickly. It just happens very quickly. So we had that chorus pretty instantly, and then Noval went away, came up with some more ideas, and then it was just a process of refining that idea until we were both happy with, okay, that's a strong demo. Now we need to find a singer. And what happens when we work is Noval ordinarily puts the vocal down as a guide, so that we can present a singer with a finished demo. They're pretty good standard, really. They're very nearly. I'm in Love, for example, although Output Input have done an absolutely fantastic job, our demo was pretty similar, really, to the finish, to what you hear. I actually heard Output Input's version of Eye to Eye on Solar Radio and thought the musicianship was just amazing. Everything was amazing. I thought, wow, I've never heard of the band before. So I rang Dennis O'Brien at Solar Radio and said to Dennis O'Brien, who are these people? And he said, you need to talk to these people. You really do. They haven't got any original songs. I know you've got loads of original songs. You really need to speak to them. They're fantastic people. So, okay. So I literally sent a message on Facebook to Output Input, and they got back to us and said, yeah, we'd love to hear some tracks. So we sent them 2 songs, and they said, yeah, we'll have both of those songs, please. One of those was I'm in Love. The other was a song that Noval mentioned earlier, a song called True Love. So they took those 2 instantly and then said, what else have you got? And so we then began the process of sending them songs. And to date, they've taken 7, I think, of our songs. Well, we've been an overnight success, but it's taken 7 years. Because we've had some false dawns. We had a deal on the table in America, in New York, for a song that we wrote called Someday, which was all due to happen. And we'd even got Nat Adderley Jr., the very famous Nat Adderley Jr., who was Luther Vandross's musical director. I approached him, and he agreed to produce the song for the label. Come out of retirement, really, because he doesn't do R&B and soul music anymore. But it all fell apart at the last minute. And then we had another deal in Europe, which nearly happened, but again, that kind of fell away. But with Output Input, it's just very easy, very natural. There are no egos. Even though we're talking about world-class musicians and production here, there's no egos with these people. They're really down to earth, very easy to work with, and uber talented. So it just feels to me that, you know, the stars have aligned. This is meant to be happening. We were meant to find them, and they were meant to find us.
When I heard the track played for the first time, for me, it was just that level of excitement to say, we've done it. We finally got a song that is not only out, but the actual response from the DJs playing it across the world, not just, you know, in my friends and family. Because friends and family all the time, they'll be like, yeah, it's brilliant. But to hear that from established DJs, artists that were like, this music is absolutely incredible. It kind of just gave us that just a confirmation that the working style that we have together and the impact that we're creating, it was all genuine. It's the real deal. And for me, just the way how we met up with output inputs was so incredible. I mean, this whole introduction was through a DJ on Solar Radio, that put us in touch with his output inputs. Well, and so it's just been an incredible journey to get from where we are now to from where we were, excuse me, to what we've achieved now. We've officially been doing several songs now, and by all means, this will be one of a string of hits that will go out there, and they're created with heart, with soul. It's uplifting music and things which people have been longing for a long time, but they just haven't experienced that in the music that's been out currently.
First feeling I had was thank God. That's taken a while. I don't recall actually. I know Ian Box played it first on Solar Radio, but I was asleep because it was about, I don't know, 6 o'clock and 7 o'clock in the morning or something. But I mean, since then, like everybody's played it. You know, it seems at one point when I was turning on the radio, either Solar or any of the other stations I listened to, and I listened to lots of those other soul music specialist stations, it's being played a lot by a lot of people. And every time I hear it, it still gives that little, that's us. We've done that. You know, we're part of that. That's our baby. That started as an idea in my head on a bit of paper, and then Noval comes along and adds his brilliance, and output take it to another level. And then you hear the finished product, and you just, wow, that's feel blessed, really. It's been #1 in numerous charts, #1 in Tony Griffin's BCFM Soul chart for 3 weeks now. It's this week's highest climber in the UK soul music chart. I think we entered the top 30 at number 23, and I think we went up to number 5 this week. So pretty healthy jump of 18 places, not too shabby. And then in other charts, it's done very well. Lots of great feedback from DJs, and we received a lovely email from a radio station in Sydney, Australia, which was really encouraging to get somebody took the time to actually contact us to say what a wonderful song it was. So yeah, it's been very well received everywhere, really. We've got so many songs. I mean, literally hundreds of songs and song ideas. And we can write to brief. So Noval and I are, we are happy to, as long as we think we can fit what they want. If a heavy metal band came to us, I think we might be struggling. But as long as it's kind of R&B, soul, gospel, we can do that for sure.
The things that will get a song good traction, I believe, is to have it with feeling. You've got to have your heart and soul into that song, into the lyrics. You need a good, strong melody line. So thinking about, okay, will the listener be able to hear back what's been sung, what's been played, and be able to copy that instantly, or is it going to be very complicated? And we try with what we do to make it as simple as possible for that listener to receive that track and keep that in memory. So I think singing from the heart, but also musically, it's just got to hit the soul and stay with that person. So immediately after they've finished hearing it, they remember what that is, what that song was, and what it did for them.
Earworms, catchy hooks, catchy choruses, great melody lines. And we're really fortunate. We found what I believe to be the best kept secret in soul music in Tony McLendon. Antonio McLendon is just absolutely amazing. And so when you put all of those elements together, you can't help but hit, the songs are written from the heart. We're not trying to create fashionable music. By definition, if something's fashionable, it becomes unfashionable. That's not what we're about. We're trying to make music that stands the test of time. And so, my biggest influence ever was Luther Vandross. I just thought the man was an absolute musical genius. as obviously the in my opinion, the greatest male vocalist ever. But his production and his songwriting is timeless, and that's what we're aiming for. In 30, 40 years' time, you can listen to Luther's albums from 30 years ago. They sound fantastic, and that's what we're trying to do.
So, for anyone that's new to songwriting, my top tip would be to have your songs prepared and ready. Don't just have one. You've got to have several, because what we found in our journey is that when you connect with the right people, they're not just looking for that one song. They want several different songs. They want fast songs, slow songs, covering different styles. And you just want to be as prepared as possible so that whatever they need, they'll have a selection to choose from. That is my first tip. Second tip for me would be timing. And you can have all the great songs together, but you hear time after time of stories where people are just, they're discovered, and it seems almost random, but when you look into it, you can see the timing is that they're attracting artists that are looking for what they want. And that was what was beautiful about what we were doing with Output Inputs. We had songs, but had no outlets of where to give them. And Output Inputs had all of the things they wanted to do, resources-wise, but just didn't have the songs. So try and find that, get the timing right, that you're finding what that person needs, that you're bringing the songs, that you're giving the songs to. And yes, finally, I would say, do not compromise who you are in terms of your writing. Just stick to what you like. If you're a love song writer, just be a love song writer. If you're a heartbreak writer, be a heartbreak writer. Just continue to do what's you, and don't stray from that.
The tips I would give to anybody would be to write from the heart, what's natural. Don't try and copy just because Ed Sheeran is, or whoever at the moment is in vogue. Don't try and be Ed Sheeran, because Ed Sheeran's Ed Sheeran, you're not. So be natural, write what comes from the heart. I think it's important to love what you do also, because you can feel it, I think, especially in the I'm in Love track. You can feel it from the musicians. I think you can feel it from us. Even in our ballads and our, not so uplifting, happy songs, you can feel that there's a real passion. So I think passion is very important. And you need to be prepared, because, we've been kind of knocking around for 6 or 7 years together, and nothing really happened. Things happened, but they didn't happen. And yet when we had the opportunity, when Output Input kind of arrived on the scene, and we were ready, when they're saying to us, right, what else have you got? We were able to go, okay, there's another one, there's another 2, there's another 3. And they've had 7 of our songs so far, and we're working on a new song now, and we've got lots and lots of ideas. So when the door opens, you need to be ready.
Just can't believe that this is happening to me. I'm in love and it's plain for the whole world to see that I'm loving every second, minute, hour with my baby. Trying to figure out what I did to have her as my lady. I never thought that I could feel this way. I never thought love would come to me and stay. Nowadays, I just get through my 9 to 5. I can't stop feeling like I'm the luckiest guy alive. Oh, I'm in love. Oh, yeah. You touch my heart and soul. Did you make me whole? I'm so glad. I'm so glad. I can see it. I'm in love. And what you've done to me. Oh, I'm in love. Oh, yeah. You touch my heart and soul. And you made me whole. I'm so glad. Yeah, yeah. I can see it. See that I'm in love with you. Girl, hey. We've found what the world is searching for. I just don't believe anyone can ask for more. Surely, sit down with a lifetime love. Just the slightest touch is all it takes to carry me away to that special place. Man, everywhere I go, I see her beautiful face. As long as I'm breathing, I need the world to know how I'm feeling.